We are live here with the British Amazon, Heidi Katrina,
Hi.
who there is maybe, I don't know if it's a rumor or not, but that British females have bad teeth, but you're definitely proving that rumor wrong with that smile of yours.
Yeah, I don't know why that's. I've had that. I've heard that before, and I don't know where that's come from, but it's incorrect.
And you're looking as jacked as always. You look like you could beat up most male wrestlers.
That's the idea.
So you are from Essex in the UK. I've never been to Essex. Where is that for people that don't know?
Yeah, so it's like Greater London. So it's just on the outskirts of London. So like, I guess the suburbs. It's called the Havering, Greater London is actually where I'm from.
What was it like growing up there? Did you play any sports or anything?
I didn't catch that. Sorry.
Sorry, what was it like growing up there compared to like the US? Did you play like high school sports and sports growing up?
Yeah, so in my school, it was like really, really big on sports. So like we had like athletics and we had everything like football. And I was actually very good at athletics. I was actually, I had the highest high jump, and I also had like the highest shot put and javelin and the fastest 100 meters. So yeah, and when we had something called Sports Day. I don't know if the rest of the world has that, but every sports day we had, like I was like the captain, and I was like really into it, like really into my sports.
Now you were from like that type of background. Did you do weights to help you with that training, or were you even doing weights at that time?
So when I was like in school, I actually was still doing karate. So I kind of got interested in weightlifting, like after it's during school time, like after athletics and sort of like afterwards, and then lunchtimes I was like doing tennis. I was always doing like extra sport classes, and then once we had access to our gym, that's when I was like, wow, look at all these like weights. And I guess I saw my brother, like he had dumbbells, so every time I'd see his dumbbells, I was like, oh, that's so cool. Like, I want to be strong, you know? And I guess it kind of started from school, really. And then I just kind of developed like a strength back then. And I was just like very good at like power type stuff. And yeah, it just kind of escalated from there.
Now, I understand you were a model at one point. Was that more fitness modeling or runway style modeling?
Actually, no, I wasn't a fitness model at all back then. I actually was very, very skinny, and I was like doing modeling, and it was crazy. Like one time I would just live off of like, I don't smoke now, but I'd live off of cigarettes and Red Bull, and I'd just make sure I was like really skinny for shoots, and it just wasn't healthy. But it was so much fun. Like I love modeling. So now I guess I've gone back to modeling, and it's kind of fitness. So it's like a complete contrast, but it's fun nonetheless.
Speaking of cigarettes, when I was in the UK about 12 years ago, it seemed like there was a lot more people that smoked cigarettes than here in Canada and even in the US. Is it still like that there?
Well, it's hard to tell really. Like every area is different, but not really. Like you get half and half, I guess. Like I kind of think it used to be like cool, like back in the day, you know, roll up your cigarettes. Like I used to have roll ups, so it used to be cool, but I don't know if it's still cool. But
Did you start watching wrestling when you were a kid?
yeah, so I actually remember it quite vividly. I came into the living room and I saw my brother was watching something on TV, and I was like, wow, who's that? And I think it was like China. So like she just picked this dude up and just threw him like over her head, and then was just dusted it off like it was nothing. And I was like, who is that? And then another time, I think it was Monday Nitro. God. And then, so I think I just saw like, what's his name? Scott Steiner, right? Just walk down the ramp with chainmail on, just silent, this big jack dude. And I was just like, who are these people? Like, it's awesome. And then that kind of like started my like interest and love for wrestling really when I was like really, really young. And then I'd like wrestle my brother and, you know, all the usual stuff you do.
And I understand before you went into pro wrestling, there was some consideration that maybe you would do MMA? Was that just some thought, or did you actually start training for potentially fighting?
Yeah, I actually was training on the side, and I really, really enjoyed it. Like, I really enjoyed like the explosiveness of MMA, and then it just kind of went off into a branch where it was like, you can't really do both, Heidi. Like, which one are you thinking of doing? Like, which one like is lean? Like, do you lean like more to? And I've always wanted to be a wrestler, and I always planned on being a wrestler eventually. So it was like a no-brainer, really. I just followed my heart. I was like, look, let's do MMA like sometimes as like a one-off, as like I don't know, like a side hobby, because I quite enjoy the combat side of it. So yeah, it was totally just pro wrestling from the get-go, really.
Now, I understand you have an arts degree. Did you get that degree before you started training to be a wrestler, or was that something you were doing at the same time?
Yeah, so I've been studying since I was in school, like consecutively, and art and photography was always like my thing. And then I kind of, I guess you call it major. So I kind of majored in art, and then I just took it from there, really. Theory, practical, and then I went on to study art like for a degree, and then I had like several exhibitions, and I've always been an artist, really. I've always enjoyed making art, looking at art, seeing art, and expressing myself artistically. So and actually, when I was doing my degree, a lot of my mates will probably say this, but they were just like, so Heidi, when are you going to be a wrestler? I was like, all right, guys, when the time's right. They're like, come on. And I was like, all right, just leave it. I'm going to do it. And then as soon as I graduated, I was like, let's do it.
And as far as your training, I understand you went to multiple schools over the years. Yeah. The first one, you were actually training with Will Ospreay, who's one of the most popular wrestlers from the UK right now.
Yeah, I met Will at London School of Lucha Libre, like back in the day, like when all of us started back then. Like we're talking like eight years ago, I think now, 8.5 years ago, something like that. Yeah, we all started there, and it was just so much fun. It was really a great starting point, because it was like basically getting thrown in the deep end. Like, you're gonna just survive either way. Like, just jump up and go for it. And getting introduced for lucha and other wrestling at the start, I think just kind of really helped with like fear levels for me. You know, just going for it, if that makes sense.
What do you think about the accusations of him getting a girl banned from a wrestling company related to the speaking out? Is that all just false allegations, or do you think there's some truth to that?
Well, I'm not really one to comment on other people's business, so.
Probably smart as an up-and-coming wrestler, but had to because it's in the news lately. He's known for battling depression. Did you notice that side to him when you knew him?
I didn't actually, but depression is incredibly common in wrestlers, you know, and it's just, we live in, I've tried to explain this to people, and it's like we're living in a parallel universe adjacent to the other universe, and we have to kind of come back to ground, and it's just hard to be on such a high from the lifestyle, and then you kind of drop a little bit, and then you can't start questioning yourself and things like that, because it's not even just about physical appearance, it's about physical performance, mental performance, you know, and sometimes it can come out in the ring, and it really is a battle mentally, wrestling sometimes. It's very much physical as it is mental.
And I hate to ask you this question, but a bunch of people are asking you about the British Bulldogs, which I'm sure you get all the time.
What are they saying?
Were you a fan growing up?
Of course.
Did you see the SummerSlam 92 match, or were you even born then?
I'm not sure which match that is.
The British Bulldog against Bret Hart at Wembley Stadium.
Oh, yeah, I've definitely seen that. Yeah, in the archives, definitely. Of course, it's British Bulldog. How can you not love him if you're a Brit?
Well, Davey Boy Smith Jr. is actually the champion of our company here in Canada right now. He's a great guy, great wrestler too. Now, as far as your training with Robbie Brookside, I understand you were making like a 9-hour train trip every weekend, which is dedication. How did you end up doing that?
Who even knows? When I first started, I was just doing all types of crazy stuff to just get the grind. And people would be like, what are you doing? Like, aren't you tired? I'm like, just stay out of it, right? So I would go like, what was it? I think it was Sunday, right? So every single Sunday I would I'd train at Lucha, and then I'd go on Sundays up to Robbie's, and it was like 9 hours up there, 9 hours back. And that wasn't even a question. I was just like so excited to learn, you know. And I'd get up at like, 5 o'clock in the morning to travel from Essex to London to get my coach. And sometimes I'd be like running with this massive bag. And then other times, before I became a pro, I would have like other jobs that I was working. And then on my lunch break, I would like run to the gym, run back, get changed. And then afterwards I'd run to catch my train to training, and just everyone just thought I was mad. And I was like, listen, one day this is going to be my full time. All right. And then eventually, touch wood, it was. But yeah, it was chaotic when I was training back then. But I absolutely loved the commute up to Robbie. It's just such an awesome experience.
And for any fans that don't know, Robbie has been working for NXT as a trainer over the past several years. What were some of the biggest things you learned from working with him?
Oh, God. Robbie just taught me so much. He's just got this, like, no-nonsense attitude. Like, he's like, you either want this or you don't. And if you don't, get out. And it just from the get-go, I resonate with that. Like, I'm a 100% or none kind of girl, and I just totally could like gel with that. And he just always taught us, it was just everything you do is got to have purpose and meaning, and you know, you have to feel it and understand like why are you doing this. And I really loved that. You know, it really just resonated with me a lot.
Now you have, I would say, the best drop kick in wrestling, male or female.
Yes.
I'm a pretty good expert to judge that. When did you start developing this crazy drop kick that looks absolutely devastating?
So are you trying to ask me the story behind that?
Yeah, is it something that you really worked on in wrestling school, or is it something that you just did in a match one day and noticed you could take people's heads off?
So honestly, the drop kick was always a move that I was just like mesmerized by. I was just like, wow, like the bullet speed of it and just things like that. I was mesmerized by drop kicks from the get-go. And also when I played video games, I would always use like powerful kicks, and I was just like, wow. So when I first started like learning like drop kicks properly, I'd say they started developing, and I basically channeled my heavy deadlift power like in my legs. I kind of channeled that into my kicks and eventually into my drop kicks. And actually I would literally do, when I was in Japan, I would train, when was it? It was in Tokyo, and it was with Sakura-san for Gato Move. I would go up there in between training with other dojos, and we would do like about 700 drop kicks in a row, like bomb, bomb. And mine were always like really powerful. And I was like, wow, I've got something here. Like, I'm just going to develop this and make it devastating. So, yeah.
And you mentioned Japan. Did you have to work the indies much in Europe before you offered that opportunity to go over to Japan?
Yeah, so I was doing the English indies for a couple years, and then I got my first booking out in France. And then after that, really, it was just like a snowball of just going outside of England. But the indies in England, it's lovely, it's fine. But for me, I was excited that I got the opportunity to travel outside of England, because I was hungry to just see every form and every style of wrestling out there.
And as far as the companies that you worked for in the UK, we all know some of the bigger ones, but is there any hidden gems all over Europe that you could share with us?
I mean, you probably know a whole bunch of the indies like in England anyway, but you definitely, this will make you laugh. If you actually go back and look at Lucha Britannia, there's a character called Chica Loca Joker, and she's this clown character, and that was me. So I don't know if you know that or not, but it's definitely worth checking out.
And Crypto Spasm tipped you $10. So by the way, anyone that gets tips today, it's going to Heidi. And as far as the training that you did in Japan, how was that compared to your British training?
Oh God, it was awesome. So basically, we'd have like I trained at 01 for a couple years, and then I trained with the DDC guys and the Tokyo Joshi girls. And then when I went to Sendai for Sendai girls, that's when I was just like, this is crazy. I love it. So, for example, one of our training exercises, we would like we'd run around the block, right? Run around Sendai in the daytime. And then there was these big steep steps leading up to the temple, right? And they were literally like so ridiculously steep. And I looked up at them, and then the girls were like, okay. And then we chucked each other on top of our shoulders, fireman carry, and we would literally carry each other up these steps. And we do it several times with 1 foot, 2 foot. And I tell you what, if you fall, you die. And that was just the way of training to just become the best. And for me, that was just life-changing.
There's a bunch of fans on here that want to know if you ever came across Paige at all in your wrestling career.
Yeah, I've met Paige before. I saw her backstage at I think it was a show in, I can't remember. I think it was London, Raw or something. Yeah, she's lovely. I just said hello. Like, I know her parents, so I was just like, hi. She's really lovely.
And what are your thoughts on Wade Barrett coming back to NXT UK full time, I guess, for you?
I think it's awesome. Yes, British invasion.
Do you watch NXT UK?
Occasionally. Yeah, when I can catch it. I just love seeing Brit Rest on TV, really.
Yeah, is that something that you'd be interested in participating in the future, or are you happy with the way your career is going in Japan?
Yeah, I say never with anything. I'm always open to trying new things. I just want to become the best version I can be of myself, really, and see where that path takes me.
Now, I am terrible at pronouncing Japanese names, but I'm sure you can see this person asking you wrestling this person.
Mika Satomura, so I refer to her as Satomura-san. I mean, that's quite the question. I don't know how I would even start to describe what it's like wrestling Satomura-san. Just incredible.
And I've noticed quite a few videos online of you training with Dory Funk in Florida. How did that opportunity come up? It seems like you were there for quite a while.
Yeah, so I was out in Japan at the time, and we had some, I think we had a couple, like maybe 1 month off from shows a couple of years back. And I'd thought about going over there for a while because Dory's very, very popular in Japan. And a lot of people had told me about it, oh, wow. And I've always wanted to kind of train with Dory Funk. So I was like, maybe I'll reach out and I'll go over there and I'll go for a couple of months and come back to Japan. So that's what I did. So Satomura-san was kind enough to go and let me acquire some new skills and then kind of bring it back, really. And that's what I did. And it was just incredible what Dory taught me as well. He's got an encyclopedia of moves, and he just taught me and adjusted a couple of things. It was just great experience, really. He's such an old schooler. I loved it.
Now, Crypto Spasm tipped you another $10.
Yes!
Years, and he wants to know, this is a very good question, actually, because you have an amazing abs.
Oh, thanks.
How often do you work your abs?
Not at the minute, I don't know. So how do I work my abs? Oh, do you know what? Do you want me to be honest? I don't really do anything extortionally mad, really. I just, just kind of what is it called? Like the leg up things when you're hanging and leg raises. And sometimes I'll do kind of like cycling type things, all about leg movement, really. But I tried to, when I train my whole body, I try to make sure my abs are always tight. So I've got quite a high chance of training everything together and keeping everything nice and tight. And it's very important to keep the core tight at the same time that you're training anything. Even with explosive moves like deadlifts and squats and even overhead press, if you can just kind of be aware of clinching in your core at all times, then you'll see ab development from the get-go.
Are you still making those videos? I don't know if you're still with your the boyfriend you had in Florida, but I saw a couple of your videos online of you guys training together.
I always train with a lot of people, but I don't really put my stuff out there anymore because I'm just so busy that a lot of people do ask me. They're like, "Oh, can you train? Like, can you put some videos online so we can see?" But I'm really busy all the time. But I kind of do want to make a little kind of channel eventually to, like, if anyone wants to see it, to help people out. I guess it was never supposed to be in this direction, really. I just kind of got a bit obsessed with training.
And how did you like the experience of living in America? Obviously, it's a bit of a contrast to England, especially.
Yeah. I love America. It's so fun, and I love the indies in America too. Like, everyone's like, the fans are super passionate, and it's just an experience and exciting, really. And oh God, how can I not mention the chocolate? The chocolate is just so good over there.
Are you the type that has like gigantic cheat meals when you finally do cheat? Because you probably keep a strict diet overall.
Uh, wow, my friends definitely know this. So I'm actually very strict and very disciplined for most of the time. I'm going to say about, usually when I'm good, about 6 days a week, I'm very strict. I keep it to a very basic bodybuilding diet, and then I just unleash myself really on that one day. Sometimes if I've got a photo shoot, I won't really have anything like sugar or anything kind of naughty. I won't have that until like right at the end of the month. But I try to, you've got to be human at the end of the day. You can't go mad. And sometimes I think, you just need a little bit of chocolate once in a while.
We'd love to have you in our company here in Canada sometime if they ever open the borders, but there's a couple of questions asking if you've wrestled at all in Canada yet.
Oh, I love Canada. I went to, it's very cold though, but because I lived in Detroit, I'm kind of used to the cold. But ages ago, I went over to Windsor and Toronto. I wrestled over there, excuse me, for Scott D'Amore. And then I wrestled for Destiny. Like, we're talking 4 years ago? Just after my first tour of Japan, I went briefly on a tour to Canada and Germany, then back to Japan, and then America. And then, so that's when I kind of first saw Canada, and I loved it. And then I've been back a couple times since, but yeah, I hope to come back soon, and hopefully I'll see you guys over there. It'd be great.
Our champion here right now is Lufisto. Have you ever worked with her yet?
I haven't worked with her, but I've heard great things. So yeah, she seems like a powerful woman. And I love working with powerful ladies, obviously.
Taylor Hendricks is someone I've interviewed, and she's fairly popular on this channel. She seems to really think a lot of you. What do you think of her? Have you ever worked with her?
No, I'd love to. She seems like such a babe, though. Like, I love all the positivity that she posts and stuff, and just cute little things that I see on my timeline. I love that, I think sometimes it's when the little things, it just can make someone's day, She seems very sweet, and I hope to work with her one day. It'd be awesome.
This was a funny fan question. I think if you could, I would bet on you. But in your opinion, could you beat Adam Cole in an MMA fight?
Potentially.
Now, have you achieved all your goals in wrestling? Rick Brooks says, I don't think you probably have yet.
Oh, absolutely not. I'm just getting started. Basically, how my brain works is I have this goal, right? I have this dream or whatever. And touch wood, I'm living my dream now. But when I get to that part, there's another part that opens that I want to access. So it's just constant levels that I want to just, advance to. And that's basically how I see wrestling. And I'm just constantly hungry, and I've just got this drive inside me. I guess it comes from my sport days from when I was younger, but I always just wanted to be the best, and I just wanted to make something of myself. And I've just got this like powerful kind of drive in me. I think I just played too many fighting games, maybe.
There was a few fans that wanted me to ask you if you've ever been in any real fights. Obviously, you trained in martial arts, but you never know. You could have been attacked at some point.
To be quite honest, yes, I have been in quite a lot of fights. I'll give you a little story. So I used to be like a punk back in the day, with like lip spikes and all the crazy stuff. And yeah, so back then we had something called chavs. I don't know if you know what that is, but like they were like, oh yeah, these alternative kids, yeah, and they would try and beat us up or chase us and throw fireworks at us. And one time it was me. So we were a bit tough, you know, from that. We'd always have to fight these guys because we had crazy hair and they didn't. And do you know what I mean? It was like that back then in Essex. And so one time it was me and this guy, my friend, who's like this big biker dude, and he's like 40, right? And I was like, I must be like 18, 19. And I thought I was really hard, you know, big lip spikes. And I'd always get into fights because I'd done karate and I was just always like fighting or whatever, just big rebel. And then one time, yeah, all these big chavs, like it was like a movie, they just came over the hill and they were like chasing all of us. And we were like, ah! And all my friends, a big group of us, just all the punks just ran off. And I was like, I ain't going nowhere. Let's go. I was like 18. And they were like, had all these poles and they were like, bang, bang, hitting me. And G, his name was, my friend. So we were like, I was protecting him, he was protecting me. And it was just like warfare. And then we were just fighting him. And that's basically what my teenage years was like. And kind of 20s, early 20s too. So I've been in quite a few fights, yeah.
Yeah, you describe yourself in other interviews. I've heard you say you're pretty wild. I guess that's a good example of it. You have
calm down now, though. I just want to say, but before I wouldn't take any shit from nobody. Can I say that? Sorry.
Yes, you can. It's YouTube.
I can. Yeah, you know, I've always been quite rebellious, and I was like, well, no, don't tell me I can't have my hair like that. Who are you? You know, stuff like that. And then I'd meet these people and they were like trying to tell me, oh, why are you dressed like that? Or why'd you like that? I was like, what's it to you? And then, you know, they would start on me and then I'd finish it.
Now, when you were in the US, did you ever do any stunt work? Because you seem like you'd be a good stunt woman.
Did you say in the US?
Yeah, like when you were in Florida, I know there's a lot more acting opportunities probably than in the UK. Did you ever do any like stunt?
No, actually, everything I'd done acting wise was all in the UK and modeling. Yeah, everything was there.
Oh, I see. And as far as NXT UK, where do you rank that as like your goals? Would you rather go straight to WWE, or if you were signed by that company, would you rather go there first, build a name for yourself, and then move?
I don't really think about that kind of stuff. I just kind of follow my path and just I focus really on not where I'm going, but I focus on me individually. Like, how can I evolve as a professional wrestler and as an athlete and as a person, really? Like, that's more where my mindset is. I don't think, oh, I want to go there, or what if I go here? It's like, how can I be the best version of myself, really?
Have you had any obsessed fan experiences? I'm sure you could take care of yourself more than the majority of women, but there's a lot of weirdos out there.
There is. Yeah, I've got a couple. I don't know which one would you like. I've got
whatever, but KJ just tipped you $10 and he said,
nice.
Fan.
Thanks, guys. Okay. Which one? I'll tell you two. It's just funny, really, looking back. But so one time I was in my room in Tokyo, right, in my house, and I just fixed the curtain and I looked out. I was like, nah, surely not. I was like, mate, I had a show last night. Maybe I had a concussion, you know, maybe I got hit or something. And I was like, no. I definitely saw that. I opened it again, and this guy is hiding behind a plant pot in the opposite building from me, at the window, binoculars, like this, staring into my room. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. So I was like, what? So then I was supposed to be at the dojo in like 5 minutes, obviously. So I was just like, what is happening? And then I opened the door, and then I couldn't see him anymore. And it was crazy. And then a couple of days later, I had a woman, this was all in 1 week, so I don't know what was going on that week. I had a woman meet me like in a 7-Eleven in Japan, in Tokyo, and she was like, hi, Heidi, right? I was like, oh, hi, nice to meet you. She's like, ah, that was great. And then she just turned up at the dojo. I was like, how did you even know? Like, she just tracked me down, like in the dojo in Sendai, and it was just crazy. But I mean, I guess I could laugh about it now, but sometimes it's not so funny. Obviously, there's some nutcases out there. You just have to be careful, you know.
There's a fan on here that wants to know your thoughts on Ronda Rousey.
Why does everybody ask me this? I don't understand. I mean,
you're probably the only female that could come close to going up against her in a real fight, is why.
I'm not like that anymore, remember? Yeah, she seems cool. I'd like to have a little grapple with her, actually. I reckon we'd have some fun.
Shayna Baszler has a bit of an MMA gimmick. Is that someone you'd be interested in getting in the ring with?
Hell yeah. I just love these strong females because I love fighting. So I just love, you know, the idea of others that, you know, share the same passion. You know, I just want to get stuck in. Hi.
You have a lot of, yeah, there's a lot of fans on here commenting. A lot of people said you remind them of the narcissist Lex Luger, maybe because you're so fit, but I'm wondering if you've had that comparison.
I've never heard that, so I want to know who told you that and where you've heard that.
Oh, many of them have said that over the years. Who do you consider the best British wrestler on the scene right now, other than yourself? I'll put that in there for you.
Just the only name that comes to mind that just continues to inspire me is just Johnny Saint. You know, he's just a pioneer.
And between WWE and AEW, would you have a preference?
No. Do you want me to be honest? Like, a lot of people ask me these questions. I've thought about this. I'm like, I'm just excited that professional wrestling is broadcast on TV. Like, that is what excites me. Like, I don't care what company you're working for, what company. I just love the fact that professional wrestling is broadcast internationally on TV. Like, I love that. Like, I feel strongly about it as a sport, and I feel like it being broadcast internationally is a wonderful thing. And like, it shouldn't really be this or that. Like, it should be yes. Like, we should just celebrate the fact that it's on TV. You know.
And everybody wants to know your best bench press, squat, and deadlift.
Oh my god! If I literally had a quid for every time someone asked me this, do you know what? I used to be like really into powerlifting like a while back, but obviously like you have to be like a little bit bigger, and it didn't really work with me. Like, I guess in the ring, like I like being quite fast and agile sometimes, and then. So my highest deadlift. This was like bloody 4 years ago, maybe. Before that, yeah, maybe longer. So my highest deadlift, I think, when I was at proper training, was like 200 kilograms, and then my squat was not that good because of my back. It was like 180 or something, and then my bench, I think it went up to, I can't remember, probably like 140 or something. Not that great, really, compared to my deadlift. My leg press at one point, I was a bit of a machine. I was like really obsessed with my legs, and I got it up to like a ton. I guess it's like 1,000 kilograms. Yeah. So I'd put like plates on plates on plates, and then I'd have loads of guys with me to like help me like bodybuild, and they was encouraging me, and it was just like, was it 1,000? I can't remember. Maybe it was half a ton. I can't remember, but. Back in the day when I was really interested in powerlifting, like really, really just everyday training, I got up there. I was quite tempted to do a competition actually, but never got around to it. So maybe one day.
I don't want to see you get much bigger than you are now. You're still at a good proportion.
Yeah.
And Crypto tipped you another $10.
Yes, Crypto.
He says you're definitely no Lex Luger. I heard you say. I heard you say in another interview that you looked up to Jazz. I'm actually interviewing her next week, so I was wondering any matches of Jazz or any reason you looked up to her.
She's a cool chick. I met her in Tokyo. It was just the coolest thing. So we shared a hotel room, and she was just awesome from the get-go. Like I said, I really admire like strong women as well. Like she looks just mega like powerful, and she's cool, and she's a great wrestler, and just everything. She's got that, you know, that it thing. And so we had a title match for NWA versus I was the current CMLL reigner in international champion, and we had a title versus title match. And then everything was like super professional. It was in Crocken Hall, and our national anthem came out. And I remember there was a tear like coming down my eye, because whenever I hear that national anthem, it reminds me of like Olympics, and I love that. And then also it reminds me of the World Cup and like, you know, the England and all that. And then it was just incredibly moving to hear that. So already I was a bit like welling up, and then she came out, and we just killed each other, and it was just great, and I loved it. Yeah.
How would you describe your style for people that haven't seen your matches? Speaking of that,
well, I think if you look closely under the microscope, you can identify all the areas that I've trained. So I've got like a little bit of English in there, and then I've got a little bit of lucha, a little bit, and then I've got quite a lot of Japan, and then power, all kind of mixed up into like this little like mix. You know, that's kind of how I like to describe my style, really.
and as far as your social media for people that want to follow you, I know you're on Twitter, but do you want to give your plugs where people can look you up?
Yeah, cool. So on my Instagram, it's at Heidi Katrina, and it's 2 A's at the end. And then Twitter is at Heidi Katrina with 2 A's. And I know everyone keeps asking me to do YouTube, so maybe one day I'll get back to it. So just look for Heidi Katrina, and then you can get me on Facebook at Heidi Katrina as well.
Did you ever wrestle for Brian Dixon? I wrestled for him for a bit, didn't have the best.
Oh, really? His voice makes me laugh. Yeah, I do you know what? I think like back in the day, I wrestled for him. Like, oh God, it must be like 7 years ago, you know, and you really, really new, and you don't know what you're doing. And God, I think I came out. I used to be called Commando Katrina back in the day. You know, I used to have the bullets and stuff, and that was my thing. And I think me and my tag partner at the time, we came out for Brian Dixon one time. So yeah, back in the day when I was like green as grass.
What would your dream match be to wrap this up?
Oh, I don't know, really. There's so many to choose from. But I just want to fight Satomura-san again. And I'd love to fight Kota Ibushi. That'd be awesome.
Well, how about to close this interview off? Thank you for speaking with us. It's been a pleasure learning about you.
Yeah.
You give us a little taste of your promo skills. I've seen some of them online, and if you had a match coming up against one of those ladies, what would you tell them to give us a taste of your promo skills?
Oh my God. I mean, all you have to do is look at my Instagram and look at Heidi Katrina and see what I bring in my physicality and my mental awareness, and then